For years, I considered our neighborhood beach the crown jewel of the entire community. That small stretch of shoreline along the lake was the biggest attraction in Cedar Ridge Estates, and one of the main reasons I was willing to pay extra for my house 3 years earlier. Every summer, the place came alive. Families spread out towels across the sand. Kids spent hours splashing in the water. Neighbors who rarely saw each other during the work week gathered there to relax and catch up. The beach brought everyone together. Unfortunately, there was one exception. Her name was Brenda Kensington. Brenda was the president of our homeowners association, and she had earned a reputation throughout the neighborhood for all the wrong reasons. When she first ran for the position, she promised residents she would protect property values and improve community standards. Instead, she quickly revealed what she truly cared about: control. She seemed determined to regulate every aspect of everyone's lives through an endless stream of increasingly ridiculous rules and restrictions. Her signature move was appearing out of nowhere whenever people looked like they were having too much fun. Clipboard in hand, she'd start searching for violations before the smiles had a chance to fade. For years, I managed to stay off her radar by keeping to myself and avoiding unnecessary attention. Then last summer changed everything. The trouble began when our community faced an actual safety crisis. During Memorial Day weekend, 2 young children nearly drowned at the beach. Thankfully, a resident who happened to be a former lifeguard noticed the emergency and managed to pull both kids from the water before tragedy struck. Everyone was shaken. The close call forced the neighborhood to confront an uncomfortable reality. Over the years, Cedar Ridge Estates had grown significantly. More families had moved in. More children were using the beach, and the area no longer had adequate safety measures in place. At the emergency HOA meeting that followed, even Brenda seemed willing to admit that improvements were necessary. After a lengthy discussion, the board unanimously approved a proposal to build a proper lifeguard tower and hire certified lifeguards throughout the summer season. As a civil engineer with experience managing construction projects and plenty of industry contacts, I volunteered to oversee the work. The permits moved through the approval process surprisingly fast because of the safety concerns involved. I worked closely with county officials, and once they understood the circumstances, they proved extremely cooperative. The proposed tower wasn't anything extravagant. It would be a simple, functional structure elevated high enough to provide lifeguards with a clear view of the entire swimming area. Construction was scheduled to begin on a Monday in early June. The timeline would allow us to finish well before the annual 4th of July celebration, which traditionally attracted huge crowds to the lake. The evening before construction was set to begin, I visited the beach to mark the designated area. Using survey stakes and caution tape, I outlined the approved location and double-checked all measurements. Everything looked perfect when I left. The next morning, I arrived with a construction crew ready to get started. What I found nearly made my blood boil. Sitting directly in the center of the marked construction zone was a gigantic concrete planter. It completely blocked the entire work site, and standing beside it with her arms crossed and a triumphant smile stretched across her face was Brenda Kensington herself. "Good morning," she said with sickening sweetness. "I'm afraid there has been a slight change of plans." For a moment, I honestly couldn't find words. "Brenda, what are you talking about?" I gestured toward the site. "The board approved this project unanimously. The permits are signed. The crew is here. We're supposed to start construction right now." She tilted her head and gave me the same condescending look she reserved for people she considered beneath her. Well, as HOA president, I retained final authority over aesthetic decisions. She proudly pointed at the massive planter. "And I've determined that a lifeguard tower would be an eyesore that negatively impacts property values. This decorative planter is a much more attractive addition to the beach area." Then she smiled. "Don't you think?" The thing was anything but attractive. It was a gigantic block of concrete that probably weighed several hundred pounds and looked completely ridiculous sitting in the middle of the shoreline. I stared at it in disbelief. "How did you even get this thing out here?" Brenda pointed toward a landscaping truck parked nearby. "My cousin owns Pine Tree Landscaping," she explained. He was happy to help once I explained the situation. The smug expression never left her face. I took a slow breath and tried very hard to remain calm. Brenda, this isn't about appearances. I pointed toward the water. This is about safety. 2 children almost died here. The tower location was selected according to visibility requirements and approved by county officials. She dismissed the entire argument with a careless wave of her hand. Those children shouldn't have been swimming without proper supervision in the first place. Then she shrugged. Their parents should be more responsible. I've decided to redirect those funds toward installing security cameras instead, I said calmly, far more practical for maintaining order. At that moment, the construction foreman stepped closer, clearly confused about whether work should continue. The crew was already on the clock, and every delay meant added cost. I raised a hand, asking him for a few minutes, then turned back to Brenda. You can't override a board decision on your own, I said evenly. We already have the permits and approvals in place. That planner comes out and construction continues. That's the only lawful path forward. Brenda's expression hardened. I've already contacted the county to revoke those permits, and the board will align with me at the next meeting. Until then, if you touch that planter or continue building, I'll press trespassing charges. She tapped her HOA bylaws binder like it was scripture. Section 12, paragraph 4 clearly gives me authority to block any unapproved changes to community property. I was losing patience, but kept my voice steady. Brenda, you're misreading your authority. The board vote and county permits override your personal interpretation. Remove the planter so we can proceed. Her eyes narrowed. You don't understand who you're dealing with. Did you forget your deck extension is 3 inches over the limit? A cold smile formed. It would be unfortunate if the HOA had to enforce that. There was the threat. Classic Brenda. I shouldn't have been surprised, but it still landed. She had likely been holding violations like ammunition, ready to use when needed. I tried one last appeal. This isn't about us. It's about safety. The lifeguard tower could save lives. Is that really worth blocking? For a moment, I thought I saw hesitation, but it vanished. The decision stands, she said sharply. The planter remains. The tower does not. End of discussion. Then she turned and walked away, leaving me with a stalled crew and a concrete obstruction. I apologized to the foreman and told him we'd reschedule. As the workers packed up, I stepped aside and made 2 calls. First to the HOA board chair, then to my contact at the county permit office. What I learned changed everything. Brenda had indeed contacted the county, claiming to represent the HOA, but she had zero authority to revoke valid permits. Worse, interfering with a county-approved safety installation wasn't just an HOA dispute. It was a violation of county public safety regulations. The next morning, I returned to the beach with reinforcements. 2 board members, my county contact, and a police officer. Brenda was summoned. When she arrived and saw the group waiting, her confidence flickered, but she recovered quickly. Quite the entourage, she said with forced cheer. Doesn't change anything. I already told you, she continued. The board has reconsidered the lifeguard tower. The vice president stepped forward. That's false. The board never voted again. You acted alone. Brenda's face tightened. As president, I have executive authority over aesthetics. The county official cut in calmly. This goes beyond HOA rules. You interfered with a county-approved safety structure. That planter is coming down and construction will proceed. Brenda blinked. Illegal? That's absurd. This is private community property. Still subject to county safety law, he replied, especially for public safety installations. The permit had been issued only after officials confirmed a documented need for enhanced safety measures, following several near-drowning incidents along that stretch of beach. Brenda immediately turned to the police officer, clearly expecting him to side with her. Officer, these individuals are attempting to trespass on community property. As HOA president, I'm instructing you to remove them. The officer shifted uncomfortably. Ma'am, from what I understand, they have full authorization to be here and to build this safety structure. You, however, have placed an unauthorized obstruction on an approved project. I need you to have that planter removed immediately. Brenda's face deepened from red to a dark shade of fury. This is absurd. I'm protecting property values. That tower is an eyesore. It will be visible across the entire community. Ma'am, the officer said, his patience thinning, you have two choices. Remove the obstruction now, or you'll be cited for interfering with a public safety installation. This is a serious matter. For a split second, I thought she might finally step back. Instead, she pulled out her phone and started recording. I am documenting this abuse of authority, she announced loudly. You have no right to threaten me. I know my rights. That tower is not happening. Not today, not ever. Then, in a move that stunned everyone, Brenda stepped directly in front of the planter, arms stretched wide like a barricade. You'll have to physically remove me, she declared. The officer exhaled heavily. Ma'am, please don't escalate this. Step aside so we can resolve it peacefully. I am being peaceful, she snapped. I'm protecting this community while you destroy it. Her voice carried across the beach, drawing attention from nearby residents who had started gathering to watch. The officer tried once more to reason with her, explaining that she was now actively obstructing a county-approved safety project, which could escalate the situation further. Brenda responded by sitting down directly on the planter. Go ahead and arrest me, she said defiantly. I'm not moving. That was the final line. The officer informed her that she was now trespassing and obstructing a public safety installation. When she refused to comply again, he moved forward and placed her under arrest. The moment the handcuffs clicked shut, Brenda's confidence shattered. As she was escorted away, she kept repeating, "This is a mistake. I'm the HOA president." After she was removed, the planter was cleared by her cousin's landscaping crew, and construction finally resumed without further interference. By the time the lifeguard tower was completed, it stood clean and unobtrusive. Nothing like the monstrosity Brenda had warned about. It became fully operational just in time for 4th of July weekend. Brenda, meanwhile, faced formal charges for obstruction of a public safety installation and resisting an officer. At her court hearing, her argument about protecting property values did little to help her case. She was sentenced to community service, fined $5,000, and placed on probation for 1 year. When the sentence was read aloud, her expression collapsed into disbelief. $5,000, she shouted. I was just doing my job. The judge struck his gavel sharply, warning her about contempt of court.